Now, despite the fact that obviously Terrence Crawford became undisputed twice now. Now, what it means to be undisputed is that you've literally beaten every champion that holds a belt in your weight class, and so in effect, you've become the true champion of that weight class. Because in boxing nowadays, because there's like several belts in every weight class, it's quite easy for a champion for someone to become a champion by fighting a weaker champion in a certain weight class, but not becoming the main man of that division. And that's usually what happens. Usually, fighters do not wipe out the entire division. They pick up a title, they might defend it a few times, and then if they wanted to, they'll move up another weight class, and then defend them, win another title, just the way Mayweather did. Mayweather won titles in multiple weight classes, but he never became undisputed in one. I think the closest that he's come was when he was at welterweight. I think he had the WBA, the IBF, and the WBC, and I think that was for the actual Pacquiao fight. He had like three belts, but he never became undisputed. He never had all the titles in one weight class. But if you look at Terrence Crawford has managed to do it twice. He became undisputed in the light welterweight division, and he became undisputed in the welterweight division. But the thing that I find funny is, despite the fact that he became undisputed twice, he still doesn't have the resume to match Mayweather. Now, on a graphic on the screen, you can clearly see the fighters that Mayweather has beaten. He's beaten, like, literally, I think, 24 or 26 world champions. Now, granted, most of these fighters were not in their prime. They were not at their peak. But a lot of them were. If you look at one of his best performance was against Diego Corrales. Diego Corrales, it's not listed here on this graphic, but Diego Corrales at that time was an undefeated power puncher who literally wiped through the entire weight class. And he beat fighters like Robert Garcia, who now became a trainer. And he beat several good fighters, and he was undefeated at the time. And I think for that one fight, Mayweather was an underdog. A lot of people thought Diego Corrales' power was just too much. And Mayweather came and he completely decimated and destroyed him. Like, the performance was so good, it's underrated. But the fact is, like, he actually did beat him. He beat him quite decisively, and he made it look easy. He knocked him down like 3, 4 times. And after that fight, he was never an underdog in a fight ever again. Even when he went up there against the likes of Oscar De La Hoya, he was always the main favorite to win the fight since the Diego Corrales fight. If you look at his first world title, he beat Gennaro Hernandez. Gennaro Hernandez at that time only had one loss, and that was to Oscar De La Hoya, and he was a top fighter. So the point I'm trying to make is, despite the fact that Terence Crawford became undisputed twice, if you look at his resume is not as stacked as Mayweather, despite the fact that he became undisputed twice. And don't get it twisted, I've got a hell of a lot of respect for Crawford, because I could give an example of Mayweather doing this at 140. Instead of fighting Costa Zoo, who at that time was the man at 140, he just picked up a belt by beating Gatti, and then he moved up to 147. So he never cleaned out the division the way Crawford did. But even then, like, even though he never cleaned out the division, he still got a better resume than Crawford. Now, obviously, a lot of the fighters that he beat, they were like a little bit past their prime, but a lot of them were coming off good wins. When he beat Shane Mosley, yeah, Shane Mosley was past it and he was an older fighter, but you can't deny it. Shane Mosley was coming off a win against Antonio Margarito, and at that time, Antonio Margarito just beat Cotto. Um, another great win was I believe Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton was undefeated when Mayweather beat him. Now, don't get it twisted. Ricky Hatton had to go up to welterweight to fight him, so you can say he wasn't at his natural weight, but he was still an undefeated fighter who come off a big win against Castillo when he knocked him out with a body shot. So the point I'm trying to make is, I think despite the fact that Crawford became twice undisputed, and that can't be denied, that's an incredible accomplishment in boxing. It's never happened in a four belt era. I think it happened in the three belt era with Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield became undisputed with three belts at cruiserweight, and then he became undisputed with three belts at heavyweight. And I think he was one of the ones that done it. But in terms of the four belt era, no fighter's done it. But despite the fact that he's beaten every champion in two weight classes, across two weight classes, became undisputed in two weight classes, I find it funny that he still doesn't have the resume to compete with Mayweather. Mayweather beat like 24 world champions. And don't get it twisted, they were not all in their prime. Like, for example, when he fought Pacquiao, Pacquiao was, at that point, was, I think he went 6 fights. Like, he got knocked out by, obviously, Marquez, and he had a loss to Bradley as well, and he was not in his prime. But let's be real about it. Manny Pacquiao went on to beat Keith Thurman like later on in his career, and also he avenged the loss to Timothy Bradley. So he wasn't completely past it. Yet Mayweather completely destroyed it. Like he completely dominated him in that fight. So don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Mayweather's the greatest fighter ever, but I'm just saying that resume wise, he's not Crawford hasn't surpassed him just because he became undisputed twice. In terms of the resume, Crawford's resume is a little bit scarce. Now, don't get it twisted. That win against Errol Spence was incredible because obviously Errol Spence was this undefeated, unified champion who had like 3 of the belts and was seen as the man at welterweight. And Terrence Crawford completely beat the brakes off him. But like apart from that one win, who else has he actually beaten? Who was like his resume just does not stack up to Mayweather. You could just see it now. So yeah, that's just my opinion. What's your opinion? I think in terms of accomplishment, I think Crawford you can argue has accomplished more than Mayweather because he did become undisputed in 2 different weight classes. But in terms of resume, I think you have to say that Mayweather's got a better resume than Terrence Crawford. But tell me what you think below. Do you think what I'm saying is true, or do you think what I'm saying is complete nonsense? Tell me what you think, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.